If you've managed to raise the first $50,000 when you're starting a nonprofit, it's a sign you have some great momentum right now. So how do you take your organization's growth to the next level? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Welcome or welcome back. I'm Amber Melanie Smith. I'm a nonprofit founder, social entrepreneur, and social impact YouTuber. Check out my over 200-ish videos on topics like starting a nonprofit, raising money for causes that you care about, and socially conscious business. I hope that my content helps you out because I believe we need to support each other as change makers. So go check those videos out. I also have a newsletter that is linked below this video where I send out tips and strategies for social impact as well as funding opportunities. You can subscribe at the link below this video, like I said. And yeah, just check out my other videos. There are a number of ways that you might have raised this first $50,000. Maybe you got 100 donors to donate $500 each. Maybe you got lucky with a couple of grants in the $10,000 to $30,000 range. Maybe you got a handful of corporate sponsorships. Maybe you generated program fees through earned income. It could be any number of these things or a combo of these things. Whatever the case, you're in a sweet spot right now where you are building momentum, and maybe you don't have enough to hire your first paid staff yet if that's a goal, but you can do some things to capitalize on the progress that you've made so far to take your organization and its revenue streams to the next level. So I'm going to talk about 7 things that you can focus on. Let's get started. Thing number 1 is to celebrate and publicize the success that you've had so far. People love feeling like they are on this journey with you. They are along for the same ride. It's the type of feeling that can inspire people to become donors and volunteers and supporters for your cause. So don't be shy. Share the impacts you've made so far. Share your achievements. You can be publicizing your growth in a newsletter or on social media, or sharing it in an email with some of your first supporters, or your board members should obviously be involved in spreading this story as well. And another aspect of this is sharing success stories. So if you've already helped some people through your mission, see if they'd be willing to offer a testimonial, or maybe even do a photo or a video with you to showcase the impact that your organization had at this early stage. All of these things are helpful in validating your work so far. You know, at this early stage, you're still kind of in a startup mindset, and you're still sort of working to gain the respect and build a reputation of success so that people will keep supporting you. So it's really important to show those testimonials, show those impacts, talk about those achievements publicly at this stage, and also frame the conversation in a way that shows, see, look how much we were able to do with this much in funding. If we can get to this next milestone in funding, we can do so much more. The second thing you want to focus on at this stage is really engaging your donor base and ideally working to expand your donor base. I talked about sharing your achievements and engaging with the general public on your success so far, but you really also want to give a personalized approach to this with your donors. Your donors are who got you to this point so far, and they might be the group that helps take you to the next level as well. So making sure that you're thanking donors regularly, even with small gifts, a quick thank you email, phone call, maybe even a handwritten note. If someone gives a small gift and they get a handwritten note, it's pretty heartwarming. It's like, wow, you know, my small amount of money, it was all I could give at that time, but it really mattered to the organization. And I know that because they took the time to write me this note. Keeping your donors informed of your updates is also really important at this stage. Maybe for your public messaging, you'd be thinking of high-level updates, high-level impacts and successes. You can get a little bit more specific with your internal group of donors. Maybe you share some of the things you're working on this month to further your mission and build the infrastructure out for your organization. Donors really like to see and understand, how is their money making an impact? I've had very business-minded donors in the past really appreciate knowing that their donation was helping build infrastructure for my organization that enabled us to increase our impact or increase our fundraising capacity by some amount in the future. So donors want to know that their money is making an impact. That's why they donate. They want to make a difference for your cause because they care about your cause. Another thing here is you want to, like I said before, be focusing on expanding your donor base. How do you do that? Well, social capital, or basically the power of who you know in your community, is really important here. You can start a referral program by asking your donors to introduce you to a friend who might also be interested in your cause. Chances are people who are donating to your cause know other people who are similarly passionate about the same issues or who have some resources that they can offer, because people tend to form friendships with people who believe the same things that they do. So getting introduced to other possible donors through your existing donors is a really key strategy at this stage. The third thing you want to focus on at this stage where you have momentum is starting to build out some systems and processes to optimize your fundraising strategy. It is possible at this stage you don't have donor software yet, or you aren't doing a lot of tracking of your donors or your financial systems, but if you can, now is a great time to start, because as you grow, this is going to become more and more important, and you're going to need these tools to give you the data and the analytics to show you what's working and what's not working. So I do recommend at this stage, if you can, to go ahead and invest in fundraising software or a CRM, a client or customer relationship management system. This is basically like a database where you house information about all of your donors, sponsors, grants, etc. You can make it as big or as little as you want it to based on your needs. But the idea is you need a way of tracking giving over time, so that you can see what's working, who your top donors are at the click of a button. This data will allow you to double down on things that are working really well, or maybe just get rid of fundraising strategies that aren't working at all. So if you can set this up now, there's various solutions out there. I know one of the sponsors of my channel, Argenta, is a great solution. You can check them out. Argenta software, look them up. But having this in place now will save you so much headache later and allow you to really start tracking that stuff. It also will allow you to do something else that's really important, which is set clear fundraising goals. You need to be able to say, okay, if our goal is to genuinely double the number of people we're serving by next year, how much money is it going to take in order to achieve that goal, and work it backwards. Maybe you need specific types of equipment, materials. Maybe you need to hire a staff person to help with that goal. All of these things can be figured out by knowing what your impacts goal will be for the next year, and then walking it backwards to determine your fundraising goal in order to reach that impact goal. With this infrastructure, you can also get a sense of the diversity of your funding sources. It's a great idea to diversify your funding streams and to not completely rely on one source of funding as a nonprofit, because we've seen it time and time again. Something happens in the world, a global pandemic, things happening in your city, anything could happen that could shift the way grant makers give grants or donors give money. During a recession, you might see a decrease in individual donations. If some companies and some industries are doing really well, you might see an increase in sponsorships. So just making sure that you have a pathway to different revenue streams is going to help you grow at this sort of stage where you're trying to get that momentum keep it going. A fourth focus area here is to build and maintain a strong presence, especially an online presence. I'm talking about making sure your website is really in good shape, and also your social media engagement too. Like I said before, you are at a phase where you're still probably trying to generate some brand awareness and build a reputation. Your website and your social media can really help with that. The storytelling you're doing on your social media, how you're showcasing your achievements so far, these can help attract some new followers, new supporters. And the people who are already followers and supporters can use these as tools to reshare with their friends. And a easy to navigate website, I cannot overstate the importance of this. I have heard from so many fundraising experts and professionals that one of the most frustrating things they see in nonprofits' websites is it's too hard to find the donation button or to use the donate process on your website. You want to make it as easy as possible to donate to your organization through your website. So making sure that button is prominent, it's a bright visible color, the font is clear, the text is clear, and that once people click it, it's easy to navigate. It doesn't take you to weird pages or pathways to figure out how to donate. It's just clear. So making sure that that aspect of your website especially is very well built and thoughtful is very important at this stage. All right, number 5 is exciting, and it is creating the infrastructure that you need to hire your first paid staff as an organization. Again, assuming that is your goal. But you've got 50K, you've already raised that. Like I said, probably not enough to, at least, in many marketplaces, hire full-time staff or someone with a lot of experience, maybe not. Really depends on the role that you think you need first. But then at this stage, you are thinking of that impact that you and your board have talked about that you want in the next year. Maybe it's double the number of people you serve, etc. And at this point, you've thought about that and the steps that it's going to take to reach that goal. In addition to knowing what kind of funding you need to reach that goal, you need to know what kinds of professional skill sets are needed to reach that goal. So at this stage, the first step of setting up the infrastructure to hire your first paid staff is knowing what first paid staff you need. So identifying the key roles that you need to hire for in order to take your organization to the next level, and then prioritize them. If you can only afford one, which staff would that be? You can also get further down the line on this process by developing the job descriptions for this role. There are lots of online resources and example job descriptions you can find for various roles out there. I encourage you to look those up to use as a basis, but it's important to really tailor it to the specific needs and community that you're serving as well. Just clarifying something I said before. I said 50K might not be enough to hire in some marketplaces. I am assuming that you have other expenses as an organization as well. And like I said, it really depends on the role that you're hiring for. So take it as just an example, but it's not necessarily true depending on where you are. Okay, so you've thought about the key roles you need to hire for. Maybe you've written some job descriptions. Now you need a process to recruit and onboard and train that person. At this stage, you can be building that process out. What does your job application process look like? Do you have some kind of way of determining who the best candidates will be? Do you have like a scoring rubric for candidates when they submit an application? What does your interview process look like? Who's in the interviews? Is it you, your board, everyone? Maybe not everyone. That could be kind of intimidating for a candidate. But thinking through some of these things so that you're basically ready to flip the light switch and go on recruiting your first staff when you have raised whatever other money you need to hire that staff position. The 6th bucket of focus that you might have at this stage is really building up your volunteer engagement strategy and plan. Volunteers are great and really important for organizations at all stages, but especially at this early stage, probably because you and most of your team are volunteers right now anyway. But you can really do a lot with volunteers if they're well trained and well oriented to your mission. Volunteers often become donors, so that's a thing. And then volunteers are great at being ambassadors for your mission. A lot of the volunteers my own organization has gotten over the year heard about our organization through other volunteers who had a great experience. So at a time when you might not have very much of or perhaps no marketing budget, that word of mouth is really helpful. Volunteers, of course, can be helping with executing on your programming, whether that's serving meals or mentoring or whatever it might be, helping the animals. Volunteers can help deliver on that program, the programming for your organization as well. But let's not forget that they can also serve in these other functions, like helping spread the word and building up your donor base too. All right, 7th and final focus area for this stage of growth is partnerships and collaborations. Because you presumably don't have a marketing budget and you are relying a lot on word of mouth, and you also want to increase your donor base, partnering with other organizations with complementary or similar missions can be a really good strategy here, because you could do joint fundraising events. Then donors feel like, I can support 2 organizations for the price of 1, or something like that. So it's great for fundraising. You can also get the benefit of reaching each other's audiences, and presumably some of those audiences might care about the same things. So that could be really helpful. And from a mission and program standpoint, the partnering organization might have resources or materials that you need, and you could loan some of yours as well. Maybe they have a space and you need a space. Maybe they need someone with a particular professional skill set and you happen to have that person on your board. And then you trade, you have a partnership and a collaboration. But at this stage, because you're not quite at the stage to be able to maybe handle every aspect of a larger organization by yourself, partnering could be a really good opportunity. And of course, relationships are everything. When the community is in a crisis or when there's something bad going on in the world, it's your partners, it's your relationships that help you get through the crisis. So always a great idea at this stage too. This is an exciting phase for your organization. Share where you're at, how you're doing. Are you at this stage? Are you far beyond the stage? And if so, what tips would you have for someone else at this stage? Share all that in the comments below. If you are in the process of starting a nonprofit or social enterprise or developing a fundraising strategy, definitely check out my website, foundertofulltime.com. I have online resources there. I have some courses there you can take about these subjects. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Also, as I mentioned before, I have my newsletter linked below this video where I send out tips and strategies and funding opportunities that I come across. So that's a helpful resource for you too. And finally, my group on Facebook is Change the World or Bust. And we have thousands of people in there. Hopefully you will join us there too, where we're sharing what we're working on and helping each other out. So join us there. I'd love to have you. That's all I have for you today. I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you next time.